team, how are we doing? So this is recorded and not live, as you probably can tell. The reason being I made a little bit of a mistake with some of my in-person appointments that I'm able to do, and I needed to see somebody at this time. So I've done a mobility routine, or I'm about to do a mobility routine, which you guys can follow along to. It'll be about 15-20 minutes, so well worthwhile taking the time to do now. If you set the time aside, and hopefully it'll wake you up and get you ready for the afternoon. Let's get started. So if you've been sitting down all day, or even if you've been standing up, let's bring our feet underneath our hips, roll those shoulders back and down, and let's just find our balance. Take a deep breath in and a nice long exhale, and just feel your weight going through your feet. Come back towards your heels, forwards to your toes, off to one side and off to the other side, and then just find your way back to center, so your weight is equally distributed over your feet. Allow a little soft bend in those knees so you're not completely locked out, and let's take another big breath in and a breath out, and this time we're going to combine that with movement. So we're going to inhale, lift the ribs, fill the lungs, and exhale, face those palms towards the floor, pull our arms down by our side and glance down. And we go again. Inhale, all the way up, and exhale, all the way down. Let your eyes follow your follow your hands as you look up, and then bring it down to the floor as you go down. Let's do one more of those. And give it a shake. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to come for some nice roll downs now. So chin to chest, roll those shoulders forwards, and just let the weight of your head and your shoulders bring your upper body down, folding over your legs. You can see I'm touching my shins here. You don't want to go too far forwards because that's going to stretch your back. So just keep your weight generally down, focused. Let your belly come onto your thighs. Deep breath here, and exhale. And again, as you inhale, roll up to standing. And let's go through that again. Exhale on the way down, hips go back, a little bend in the knees, and inhale on the way up. And let's do two more of those. Exhaling and inhaling, unraveling the shoulders, the head and the neck. And down we go one more time. Lovely. So this one's good if you've been hunched over your desks all day, or even over a bike if you've been lucky. We're going to take our hands and feet out to the sides nice and wide, and I'm going to turn my right palm up to the ceiling and lean, push my arm away from my body over to the right hand side. Bring it back in and swap. Left palm's up, right palm is now rotated down, and we come back. So you can, if you watch my thumbs, you'll see the thumb of my back hand here going down and all the way around. So we're rotating from the shoulders through the tips of the fingers, reaching for that wall out to the side. Couple more, just bringing some heat into the shoulders, bit of movement to the upper body. Lovely. Roll shoulders back and down and have a shake. Nice. Okay, a little bit twisting, get the blood flowing through those arms even more. So feet underneath the hips, and we're going to look to the left and to the right. So we're just going to let gravity do the work really with our arms as we twist around. Make sure that you stay upright. Imagine there's a big pole coming out the top of your head, and it's keeping you nice and upright. Look over each shoulder as you go. Let your arms float out to the side and come back in, touch the opposite hip. Nice, let's do a couple more of these in each direction. And back to standing. Wicked. Okay, some windmills. These are lovely for the upper body, but also really nice for opening up the hips. So we bring our feet a little bit wider. I'm going to point my toes over to the right hand side. I want my weight to be through my back leg, which I'm going to keep straight, and I'm going to take my left arm up. I'm going to turn and look at it. My front leg here, my right leg, is a little bit soft, and I've got the back of my hand hand on the inside of my thigh, so I'm ready to go now. And I'm going to push my hips backwards and fold my body over this front leg. You can see I've got a little bend in it. I'm pushing my hips back, keeping that back leg straight, and I've moved away from this hand that's pointing at the ceiling. I'm going to stop just as my right hand gets about mid-calf, and I'm going to push that right leg into the floor, and I'm going to stand up straight. And we'll go again. So I'm going to push back, making my hands as far apart as possible so I get a nice open chest, just reaching down my leg and then driving up to standing. And we can go again one more time. Do let this front leg have a bit of a bend. Make sure you keep the back leg nice and straight. Nice wide apart arms, nice open chest, push those hips back and then stand up. Great, let's do the other side. So toes are over to the left hand side this time. Weight is predominantly through my right leg, little bend, soft bend in my left leg. Right arm comes up, I turn to look at it. Back of my left hand onto the inside of my left thigh, we're ready to go. Hips go backwards. I'm leaning away from that arm, that right arm reaching my left arm down my leg. And then standing up. And we can combine this with a nice exhale. You can pause at the bottom here for a nice big breath in. And out. And then inhale as you stand up. Lovely. So we're going to exhale. Nice breath in and out. And then inhale as we stand up. Good stuff. So that would have started to open the hips a little bit. Certainly the chest and the shoulders. Okay, let's bring it down onto the floor, onto all fours. Make sure your toes are tucked behind you. Really engage all of your toes back here. And just bring your hands out underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide and look straight ahead. You shouldn't have too much body weight going through your knees. It should be equally distributed between your hands, your knees and your toes. So just make any adjustments that you need to your position here. And we're just going to rock back and forwards, swapping that weight, toes to hands, just gently warming up the wrists and the hands. And sending those hips back towards the heels, keeping that back nice and neutral as we go. Keep the head up. Don't do this, don't start looking down. I want you to keep that back up. And then just pause with your hips back towards your toes, your arms out in front of you, pushing the floor away with the mat, pulling your shoulders down away from your ears. I want you to look up and then tuck your chin into your chest. I want you to look up and tuck your chin in. And we're going to do this 2 more times. Up, tuck the chin. Lovely. We're then going to come up onto all fours, make any adjustments that you need to so the weight's even. And you're just going to take your gaze to the left, out in front of you, and around to the right. Make sure that your eyes do the movement as well at the same time. To the left, and then looking to the right. Just keeping that neck ever so slightly active. Keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Nice, this is good. Well done, guys. And just back to all fours. Let the backs of your feet come on to the floor there. And maybe come up on your fists. Sit back. And just let the backs of your hands rest on the mat here. Just warming those wrists up a little more, stretching in a different way. So I've got my hands facing inwards here, with my arms straight. And then I'm going to point my fingers with the backs of my hands down towards my knees. And again, straightening the arms. Clasp the fingers and the wrists and just roll them a couple of times. Here. Lovely. Okay. So back onto our all fours. This time we're going to drop down onto our forearms. Have the elbows just a little bit wider than your shoulders so that there's room for your body here. But spread your hands out wide. Let your weight come forward onto your forearms and take your chest to the floor or as far forward as is comfortable for you. And we're just going to rock forwards and backwards here about 3 more times. And really push off those hands and forearms, lock the elbows down. 1 more of these. Nice, and we're going to come back onto all fours. All right, a little bit of thread the needle for the upper back, a little bit of mobility for the spine going on here. So with my right arm, I'm going to take it up, bring the back of the hand down, and I'm going to lower my shoulder down to the mat and lift it up again. I'm going to do this 1 more time. I've brought that arm down, resting on the mat, my shoulders resting, gently resting the side of my head. I'm going to push my left arm into the mat and just start to feel a stretch across the top of my back there, almost between my shoulder blades. And release. And again, just push and release. Make sure for the next stage that your arm is supporting you. This right arm that's down on the floor, back of the hand is down and it's supporting you. You can bring your left arm behind you and touch your opposite hip. And just breathe here. Majority of your weight should be almost equally distributed between your right shoulder that's on the floor and your knees and your feet. Your head just resting lightly on the mat. If you feel under pressure from your neck, then I suggest you bring your hand back round and take the weight that way. But if you're comfortable here, take a couple more breaths. Lovely. And then bring that hand back round and back up onto all fours. Look forwards, take a little rock back and forwards, and we're going to do the other side. I'm going to turn around for you, but you can obviously just carry on with your left hand this time. Taking it out to the left, bringing the back of that left hand down, sweeping it underneath you, and going again. And this time I'm going to take that arm right through, rest it down, shoulder along the whole length of the arm, gently rest the head, and take some breaths here. So as the left arm is resting on the floor, you can push the right hand down into the mat and increase that stretch that's going on across the top of your shoulders there. Couple of breaths here, and when you're ready, just check in with where your weight is and bring that right arm around and touch your opposite hip, opening that shoulder. Again, couple of breaths. If you're not happy, just bring your hand back around and carry on with the stretch in this position. Take 1 more breath here. Bring your right hand back to the mat and come back up onto all fours. Cool. Good. Shoulders little roll. Move the head a little bit. Generally wake up. Should feel quite good. Okay. So we've done that. We're going to do some half frog and then we're going to go into a little froggy sequence. I'm sure it'll feel quite lovely, especially if you've been sitting all day. So we're going to come onto all fours. And we're going to take one leg out to the side, toes on the mat, heel on the mat, and I've tucked my back toes under. If I go slightly sideways, you should see what I'm all about here. And we're going to rock backwards and forwards. I'm going to do about 10 on this side, backwards and forwards, just slowly and gradually trying to open those hips up, open those adductors, walking that leg away from you towards the edge of your mat. And then we're going to swap sides. So that left leg now is going to come out to the left, tucking those right toes under, making sure you're nicely in alignment. You're going to rock backwards and forwards. Keep the head up. Oh, mine just started to creep down there. So just keep that gaze forwards. Nice. And bring that leg back in. now we've warmed up ever so slightly, we're going to go into a little frog sequence. Don't be scared of it. Just work to the pace that you can, or work to the pace or the mobility that you're at. You don't have to go beyond that. Just wake the muscles up a little bit. It'll feel good, I promise. Okay, so we're going to take those knees wide, almost as wide as the mat or even wider. If you need some pillows, get some pillows. You'll notice here I'm bringing my lower leg out so that my heel is directly behind my knee. I haven't caved in here, I'm out here. Make sure that you're comfy. Inside of your knees will be down on either cushions or on the mat, and you're going to rock backwards and forwards. Backwards and forwards. Push the inside of your heels and inside of your feet down into the mat to support you. You can adjust your hand position slightly if you need to. And what we're trying to do is create space in those hips. So ultimately I want my knees to get a little bit wider so they come slightly closer to the mat. And we're just going to work this a couple of times more, back and forth. And you might notice that you've gained a little bit more mobility as you go backwards, or maybe you've gained a bit more as you come forwards. Either way, it's all good. Just be gentle, just be kind, don't force anything. So you can inhale as you come forwards, exhale as you go back. Inhale as you come forwards, exhale as you go back. So now that we've loosened up ever so slightly, or hopefully we have, we're going to come down onto our forearms, and we're going to do exactly the same. So we're still aiming to have those knees get a little bit wider as we work forwards and backwards. If this is too much, come back up onto your hands and just work away, gently encouraging those knees to be a little bit further apart. You can actively press down into the cushions or down into the mat. Push your feet down, push your knees down. All the time just looking to sink a little bit lower as you come backwards. Taking it forwards and back, nice and gentle. You might well be feeling it, but just be kind, just keep moving. Lovely. And then on the back, we're just going to come back up onto all fours and ease our knees back in, toes back in, underneath us. Lovely, well done. That's great. So after that frog, we're now going to follow up with a little bit of Hindu squats, which is nice for the coordination and just gets the blood flowing a little bit. Shouldn't be too challenging, but just enough so that it wakes you up and gets those legs moving. So we're going to have our feet underneath our hips, quite close together. Roll the shoulders back and down. Bring the arms out in front of you to chest height, palms facing up. And then we're going to bring the hands to the shoulders, take the elbows wide, trace the backs of the hands down the edge of the body, and then we're going to follow them down in one movement, allowing our heels to come off the floor as we squat down, and then press our feet down hard into the mat as we stand up. Rotate the palms so they face up again, and we go again. Elbows go wide, backs of the hands down the edge of the body, and then squat down. Allow your heels to come up, balance on your toes, bring your arms underneath you, palms face down as you press your feet back into the floor to enable you to stand up. We're going to do 3 more of these. Palms face up, elbows go wide, hands come down the side of the body, and we squat down. Core switched on, push those feet down hard, up on your toes. Push your toes down and get your feet back on the floor as you stand up. Lovely. Let's go again. And pushing down, we stand up. And last one, palms go up, hands come to the shoulders, elbows go wide. Backs of the hands come down the side of the body, and in one movement we squat down, sweep the hands underneath us, brace the core, push the feet down, 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 and come up to standing. Lovely, shake that off, that's super good. All right, a little bit more then from the frog. So into our squat stance this time. Really want you to grab the floor with your feet, steeple your fingers so that the tips of your fingers are just all touching, elbows are pointing down. And we're going to sit back and down into our squat, elbows towards the inside of our knees if we can. If not, we're just going to be on that level of alignment. And we're going to settle here. Big breath in, big exhale, pull the shoulders back and down. Drive the feet into the floor and stand up, shake it off. This time we're going to go for a little bit of movement down there if we can. Steeple the fingers. Get those feet planted in the floor, really screw them in. Big arches, pull down. Nice wide knees, get the elbows inside those knees, chest is up, squeeze the shoulder blades together and just look to the left and look to the right. Allow your knees to move a little bit over your feet. Allow them to move from the hips as you do this. Take a big breath in and drive up to standing. Well done guys, we're going to do one more of these. Whew, feel the blood through your hip flexors there. So grip the floor with your feet, really ground them. Steeple those fingers, nice relaxed neck and shoulders. We're going to focus on the upper back, squeezing those shoulder blades together, pulling our shoulders away from our ears. Sitting down, legs go wide, knees wide over the toes, move them over the feet. Chest is up, don't let your bottom rise up, don't let yourself tilt forwards. And then big breath in, and drive the floor away with your feet, stand up, give it a shake. Well done, nice work everybody. Okay, last little sequence then, which if you were in Monday's strength and core, you will have done some of this. We're going to do 90-90, but with a little bit extra. So it's all about those hips, all about the hips. So come down onto the floor, sit yourself, arrange yourself on your mat so that you're in a nice 90-90 position. I've got my right leg bent in front of me. I'm going to twist to the right. Left hand onto the sole of my right foot, arm out to the side. And I'm going to bring my body weight forwards over this front leg. Notice how I'm not rounding my back at all. I'm just hinging at the hip, leaning my weight forwards, and I'm looking for a stretch around the outside of my right hip here. So I've come forwards here at 12 o'clock. And now I'm going to go to 11 o'clock. Which just changes things slightly. You change the angle, you just change the muscles that you're targeting ever so slightly. Inhale, and then on exhale, I'm going to go to 1 o'clock, so slightly away from you guys. But notice still, I haven't rounded my shoulders, I haven't lowered my head. I want you to do the same. And sit back up tall. Okay, everyone all right? We're going to go forwards to 12 o'clock one more time. Big inhale and exhale. Really engage your belly with your thigh if you can. It's a nice move this because you don't need to hold your breath. All right, so we're going to leave the back leg where it is and we're going to take this one step further. So we're going to bring that front leg straight out in front of us towards 12 o'clock. I'm going to twist my body round. Now this might be enough just to sit here and take a few breaths in this position. Find your balance point, find your mobility, get used to what maybe feels tight and what doesn't. Just stay here and do that. If you're feeling good, I want the toes pointing up, this quad a little bit switched on, little tiny bend in the knee. And again, we hinge forwards. You can use your breath to bring the belly down towards this thigh. But notice again, I'm not rounding my back and I'm not bending my head. I'm not interested in this. We want an actual hip hinge. We want to work our hip mobility and stretch our hamstrings of this forward leg. And sit back up out of it anytime you need to. Make adjustments. This is a new one for all of us. It's a good one. It's a good progression, this. And if that wasn't right for you, then I hope that you're still working your 90-90. So you're going to move carefully back out of that. Bring the legs back into this 90-90. And this time we're going to start working our back legs straight. Behind us, come forwards onto your hands. Allow this foot to come back in towards your groin if you need to. Be very careful of your front knee here. Push that back leg out behind you, squeeze the glutes. And we're looking to level the hips so that they are facing forwards. And again, we're going to come forwards. You can come down onto your forearms, but keep your chest and head up. And pushing that back leg away from us. I prefer to be up with my weight up over my hips. And I'm going to turn my body to that 1 o'clock position and fold. And come back to 12 o'clock and back to 1 o'clock. And you can see how you can play around with these positions as you need to. Just try and encourage those hips to sink down. Big breaths in. And when you're ready, using your hands to support you, you can roll back onto your hips and carefully bring your legs back into this more familiar and slightly kinder 90-90. And let's go for that one more time. See how much you can fold forwards now that you've released all those other muscles around that group of, or in that group of hip and glute muscles. And let's sit up and let's swap sides. So you can either swap your legs around or you can do what I'm doing and look the other way on your mat. So here we are, 90-90. So we're going to warm this leg up a bit first. So I've got right hand to the base of my left foot, other arms out to the side in line with my knee. I'm looking forwards. I'm just shifting that weight over my front leg, feeling that stretch through the left glute, outside of the left hip. Twist the body, let the belly drop. Up, you can change the angle, you can come to 1 o'clock or you can go to 11 o'clock. Let's spend the time here, guys. When you're ready and you've spent the time, I'm going to leave the back leg where it is. Carefully move that front leg straight out in front of you. Make any adjustments you need to. Big breath here. Actively push down into the floor. Quite often an abandoned bit of stretching. People just let their limbs dangle or let their joints just do whatever they want to do. Actually try and control things. If you're really, really tight, then just sitting here is going to be challenging. But actively sit here. So tense the muscles and relax them. See how that feels. What can you do? What can't you do? If you're a little bit more advanced or a little bit more bendy, you can start to bring this belly forwards onto the thigh, chest up, head forwards. Just hinging. And don't forget, you can change that angle to 1 o'clock, to 11 o'clock, whatever suits you. But whatever you're doing, whatever variation of this you're doing, do it actively, even if it's just sitting here and trying to get used to this position. Send the signals to your muscles so you can try and pull your kneecap up your leg. That will switch your quad muscles on. You can try and flex your foot a little bit, allow that knee to bend. You could roll the leg a little bit. Just see how you get on. Practice squeezing your shoulder blades together and sitting down. And when you're finished, whatever variation you're doing, back to 90-90, and then the back leg gets its turn. As we start to walk that back behind us, roll onto that back knee, come over our front leg here. Hips nice and square, squeeze the glutes. Allow this leg to have a bend if it needs it. Don't want anyone forcing anything too much. Big breaths. Work whichever direction suits you best. And keep that chest up at all times. And you can work that for as long as you want to. And then roll back and test out your 90-90 again on this left-hand side. See if you've improved. See if you're more comfortable just sitting here. Hand onto the bottom of the foot, forwards we go. Again, I'm still not bending my spine. I'm still keeping nice and neutral through my back. Weights come forward. And you can do whatever variation you need to. Go to 1 o'clock, go to 11 o'clock, whatever you need. And come back up to seated. Just take the feet, or the heels, sorry, a little bit wider. Support yourself in your hands and rotate. Windshield wipe those knees. Get the knees to the floor, lift the hips up slightly. That's it, bit of energy. Nice, nice, nice. Keep going. And when you're ready, just roll over and stand up. Give those legs a shake. Test yourself out. Let's do 3 squats. Pull yourself down and drive up. Lovely. And shake it off. All right, roll those shoulders back and down. We are done. I know that was short and sweet, and I'm really sorry that it wasn't actually live and we're actually in a class. But like I say, just made a bit of a clash, unfortunately. So next week, I hope to be in the room with you and to see you all, and thank you for joining me. I'm loving these little VikStrength classes. I know they're not much, but they're just meant to be a little addition to the one-on-one stuff that we do. So next class will be kettlebells on Friday morning at 8:30. You can book that via the MindBody app if you are a MapDebt member. If you're not, drop me a message, I'll get you booked on. See you later. Thanks guys, have a great day.